just stop. Here's Ross, the host with today's dose of common sense.
And hi, welcome back, everybody. How are you? I'm fine, thank you for asking. Now, back for more really just stop the common sense thing uh, podcast. Is that what we call them? That's what we call them now, podcasts. We used to just call these YouTube videos. I don't know. Now they call it something cool. Sounds cooler that it's a podcast. And I have my own stuff all over the screen. And anyway, it's pretty cool. So, for those of you just listening instead of watching it on YouTube, welcome. Sorry you can't see my ugly mug right now and my half assed background. The thing, it's really, I don't know. It's just a room, it's just a spare bedroom that I'm recording in. It's nothing special. And the sound panels in the background, I made them myself and I'm quite proud of them. And there's more of them around the room, and I'm going to make some more of them yet. So, today, I thought it would be fun to look at this thing in New Jersey. Oh my God, the drones. Drones everywhere. Sorry, I have to adjust my volume in my headphones, in my Shure headphones. Sure, yeah. They're pretty nice headphones, except I think I'm going to have to, you know, just to get off topic for a minute, they're really good headphones. They fit very snugly, and they block out a lot of sound, and they sound great, but they add low end, they add bass to the sound, so it's actually coloring the sound of my audio, and so what I'm hearing in my headphones is not actually what it sounds like when the final product comes out of the recording. So I keep switching back and forth between them. I have some Audio Technica headphones, and I believe that those are also coloring the sound slightly. So I think I'm going to try the Sony ones. What are they? I forget, the 7508s or something like that. It's supposed to be the industry standard studio headset. So we're going to try that. They've been on sale lately, thanks to the holidays. So I might be able to pick up a pair fairly inexpensively somewhere like Sweetwater. I love Sweetwater. If you're into audio or video stuff, and no one is sponsoring my podcasts. Neither of my podcasts are sponsored by anyone. And yes, I use a lot of Rode equipment, but that's because Rode makes really good stuff. And I have some Shure stuff. It's really good stuff. And it's basically the two companies that you're going to go back and forth and back and forth. If you ever get into this stuff, you're going to go back and forth and back and forth because they both make exceptional stuff. But they're good for different things. So there you have it. I'm not going to buy a Shure SM7B broadcast microphone because I don't like them. And I'm not going to be that trend guy who's just going to do it because everybody's got one. Joe Rogan has one. I don't care. Not doing it. Also, I tested one with my voice at a Guitar Center, and I just didn't like it. Didn't like it. I already have enough bass in my voice. I don't need any added low end. So I'm just not going to bother with it. But this microphone is awesome. Rode Procaster. And I'm sticking with that for now. Don't hold me to it. I said that this was going to be my forever microphone because I really liked the way it sounded. But try not to hold me to that because I'm so susceptible to good marketing. Can't help it. If I see a good review of a new microphone and I go, ooh, do I need one of those? I might need one of those too. I think I need a couple of those. Because what if I have a guest? Now I need one for me and one for the guest. Anyway, that's the rabbit hole that we all go down apparently when we get into content creation, I guess is what they call this now. Like I said, it used to just be called making YouTube videos. Now it's a whole different thing. But the New Jersey stuff, it's driving me crazy. I've got to be honest about it. It's driving me nuts. If you go look at the videos that are being put out there, they're just helicopters and airplanes, people. That's exactly what they are. And if you take these photographs, and it's been done multiple times now, oh, look at these lights in the sky. These are obviously some sort of drone. It might be the Chinese, and you mess around with the contrast and the brightness and stuff, and it's a literal airplane, like a 707 or a 737. They're actual airplanes and helicopters flying around in the sky, and people are just freaking out. And I don't understand it, except, well, unless the people in New Jersey never look up, because apparently they've never seen these things before. And planes fly all day and all night, every day of every week, of every month, of every year in the United States. The only time in my lifetime that there has been no air traffic was 9/11. And that's when they grounded everyone. And it was kind of an eerie kind of feeling. At the time, I lived about 3 miles from an airport. And it was a major regional, it wasn't a regional airport, it was a pretty major airport. And it was just dead quiet because nothing was in the sky. And it was eerie. And it was very strange. And it lasted for a couple of days. And then air traffic slowly picked up again. But back then, I started doing some research when I used to try to keep. I've been, all right, here's a little bit about me. I've been doing this whole conspiracy theory thing for decades. Talked about that probably in the first show. But I've been debunking conspiracy theories and helping people understand the reality of what's going on as opposed to their conspiracy theories for a very long time. And 9/11 was no exception. So I started researching back then. Well, how many planes are actually in the air every day in the United States? And back then it was 36,000 flights. So for those of you following along on a video, I'm going to pull up my screen share thing here. And we're at Google right now. So I'm going to go to Google and I'm just going to type in, hold on. um, I am going to type in how many flights in the U.S. per day. Look at that. I must have searched it. 45,000, up to 45,000 flights a day. And I don't know if you guys can see that on the video. No, it's not showing up on the video. I'm going to have to move it around a little bit so you can see it. Up to 45,000 flights a day. The U.S. aviation system is an engineering marvel and an economic juggernaut, moving over 45,000 flights and 2.9 million passengers daily. And that's apparently from the site Simple Flying. I don't know. I'm assuming it's fairly accurate. I don't know why anybody would put something wrong on there. I do know that, and I'm probably going to do an in-depth study of this, but I do know that AI, a lot of these search engines are now using an AI assistant when they're giving you their results, and some of them are wrong. So that's fascinating. AI is going to give you some bogus information. I wrote an article about it for one of the, it was specifically about vaccines and stuff, and it was about how the AI generated responses were sometimes just giving you the wrong stuff. And people were getting a lot of bad information, a lot of bad research, and then they thought they were educated, but they had been told the wrong thing by the AI. Anyhow, that's 45,000 flights a day. How can you not see an airplane in the sky anywhere in the United States on any given day? I live, I don't know, as a crow flies, maybe 5 miles from an airport, a regional airport. We're about 50 miles from the Cleveland Hopkins Airport. That seems like a long way, but, straight shot air travel, not that far. Planes fly over our area all the time, day and night. We also have military units that fly. So on occasion, you might see a C-5 Galaxy or a C-17 fly over. If you're lucky, if you go a little bit east of here, you get over in toward Ravenna. They have the Ravenna, what used to be called the Ravenna Arsenal. Now it's a national training center. You're going to have C-130s, people doing jump training out there, parachutists and stuff, but also helicopters. And there's an aviation regiment just up the road from us. And so we'll get Chinooks and Blackhawks flying around, often in pairs or more, formation flights and stuff. So there are things in the sky 24/7 in this area. And I'm assuming New Jersey, being larger and a more populous state than us, and having much more active airports, has 2 to 3 times the amount of activity, I would imagine. But we also get people transiting across, east to west and north to south, moving around the United States that aren't just coming here. So at night, I like to take my night vision goggles and go outside and look up into the clear sky, and you can see planes up at 30, 40,000 feet traveling along, and they're everywhere. You can also see satellites and stuff flying as they reflect the sunlight up in space in low Earth orbit and stuff. So you're going to see your Starlink satellites and communication satellites and probably some military satellites. And at the International Space Station, you can sometimes catch that, but you're going to see all kinds of all kinds of things in the sky. And these things have always been there because they're called airplanes and helicopters. And it's really just driving me insane that the people in New Jersey think something is different all of a sudden. And it has to be just because somebody said they were drones. And then everybody started looking, and now everything is a drone and a UAP. Somebody is pushing this narrative to make us all look stupid. Because every time one of them gets looked into, it's just an airplane. That's all it is. Just an airplane or a helicopter, or whatever it is. It's a thing that's supposed to be there, a thing that's there every day. So why people are freaking out about it is a mystery to me. But it's starting to bother me, and I think some of it's probably being pushed and assisted by some foreign intelligence organizations who are helping to just push this crap out there and, clog up the info space with a bunch of garbage so that Americans keep getting dumber and dumber because currently we're pretty dumb. And if you take pretty dumb and tell people that those things flying in the sky or that light in the sky at the distance is not an airplane, they probably, well, there's a good chance they might just believe you. Even though that light in the sky in the distance is actually an airplane, they might believe you when you say, that's no airplane. I've never seen an airplane do that. Well, it's all stupid. And a lot of it is perspective. When a light is traveling towards you or away from you, it's virtually impossible to tell that it's moving, especially if it's at a great distance. So that perspective is screwing a whole bunch of people up. One of the most recent ones that was posted was 3 or 4 lights in the sky that appeared to be hovering, and then they were moving around a little bit. And those were planes that were all lined up to land at an airport. But because they're traveling directly toward you, they appear to be hovering. And airplanes can't hover, so it can't be an airplane. But it wasn't hovering, it was just traveling toward you, and you couldn't tell that it was coming toward you because it's nighttime. There's a light there, it's shining, and that's all you're seeing is a light in the sky. But if you watch the video until the end, one of those lights drops down, and you can see it's obviously a plane that's landing at this airport. And then the next one lines up, and it's starting to descend. And these are the things that people are saying are UAPs and drones. And it's it's really stupid. And I'm having a hard time dealing with it. As you can see or hear, the frustration in my voice. But the idea that these are Iranian drones that are coming from an Iranian mothership out in the Pacific Ocean and stuff, that idea is also stupid because Iran is not going to fly a bunch of stuff that has navigation lights on it over our cities so that everybody can see them. If they're going to fly secret drones off of a mothership, maybe a cargo ship or something in the Pacific Ocean, and they're going to send these top secret, super stealthy drones across the ocean and over the United States border and into New Jersey, they're not going to have lights on them. Our stealth drones do not have lights on them. Give me a break. You're being incredibly, incredibly stupid. And I can't pull off the whole Mick West thing like I talked about, like talking to people like they just simply don't understand, and we can explain it to them calmly and rationally. I can't deal with these people. I just can't because they're stupid. If you look up in the sky and you see a light and you automatically assume that that's a drone, you're stupid because there aren't as many drones up in the sky as there are actual airplanes, actual helicopters. You just can't hear them all the time because they're up at 35 or 40,000 feet. Not a helicopter, but airplanes. I don't know. Is there a helicopter that can fly at that altitude? I don't think so because the air gets a little too thin up there. And I know that helicopters in high altitude have trouble getting up to altitude because of the thinner air. So I would assume there is no helicopter that can travel at that kind of altitude. But I could be wrong. Maybe they have some that actually have jets on them too, and that can help them get up there. I don't know. If you know, let me know. If you know of one, I don't. I don't know what the ceiling is for a regular helicopter though. But it's going to be up there. But you're going to hear a helicopter probably because those are pretty loud. Airplanes can be fairly quiet um, unless they're doing certain things like landing and taking off. That's when they're the loudest. But if an airplane's at 30,000, 35,000 feet, you can't hear it. So if it's just doing straight and normal flight, cruising speed, cruising altitude, you're not going to hear it. You can see it. You can still see it, or you can see the contrail. You can see it reflecting sunlight sometimes, but you're probably not going to hear it. But a helicopter at its maximum altitude, you're probably still going to be able to hear it. It might be faint, but helicopters have that rumble that you can feel it kind of in your chest and stuff when they go by. So I don't know, but I don't understand how people can't understand. One of the videos was hilarious because the guy posted it on X and said it sounded like a helicopter when it went by this super secret drone thing with lights on it. It was an actual helicopter. They were able to track down the actual flight and talk to the actual pilot. And it was his helicopter. He's like, yeah, that's me. That's me flying from wherever to wherever. I was doing this and blah, blah, blah. But if you look at some lights in the sky and say, wow, that sounds like a helicopter, it's probably a helicopter, you moron. It's not an alien spaceship. So give me a break. I can't handle it. I just can't take it. There's so many things in the world that I have to deal with every day. I can't deal with a bunch of idiots in New Jersey thinking the sky is overpopulated with drones and spaceships and stuff. Give me a break. Nobody's got time for this crap. We got real things to deal with. Did you know that intelligence organizations and intelligence professionals are almost 100% sure that there's going to be an attack on the homeland, terrorist attack on the homeland, sometime in the near future? A terrorist attack similar to the October 7th attack in Israel. Did you know that? No? You know why? Because you're too busy learning about drones and stupid UAP crap in New Jersey. Because you're not paying attention to what's going on in the world. You're not paying attention to the really frightening things that can be happening in the near future because everybody's listening to people talk about stupid drones in New Jersey that aren't actually drones. They're just airplanes and helicopters. Man, and it's insane. Pay attention to the things that actually matter. Every holiday season, I get worried because I think about terror groups and how I would terrorize a nation. And I worry. And then I wonder why they don't think like I do. But yeah, it's a scary thought when you think about the real things that could be happening and what some people believe will be happening in the near future. Don't really have a timeline, but we can talk about that on another show or something. But I'll direct you towards some people who are very clearly saying that Al Qaeda has a very specific plot to once again attack the homeland of the United States with terrorists and suicide bombers and so on and so forth. So we can talk about that another time. But since this is the conspiracy theory show, to me, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's based on pretty solid evidence, pretty solid sourcing. And it's coming from people who have a track record of reliability and accuracy in their reporting. So those are things that I don't consider conspiracy theories. They are conspiracies. You can talk about the conspiracies of why the government isn't telling everybody about it and why they're kind of keeping it hush hush, and they're not talking about it every night on the news. And instead, all of the news organizations are talking about stupid frickin' drones in New Jersey. I don't get it. You're all blind or going blind or something. But the American population is continuing to just get dumber by the day. And I don't have a very optimistic view of our future. Really, I don't. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't think you guys are going to do very well once my generation is gone. The Gen Xers, the last rational generation of Americans, the Gen Xers, because the younger generations after us, no, no. We had to save the boomers from themselves, and now we're going to have to save the millennials and the Gen Zers or whatever what do they call themselves? I don't know, but we aren't going to be around forever. We can't save everybody, so I'm not optimistic. I don't have a bright outlook for the future of our children and grandchildren because everybody has lost their frickin' minds and they no longer possess the ability to think rationally about anything. I don't know, and they don't know what's real. And that's another thing that we could probably discuss as a conspiracy is they don't understand what's real and what's not. Everything's kind of getting commingled now, especially with AI playing around with video and photographs and stuff. I think those generations are going to struggle with understanding what's real and what's imagined and what's fabricated and what's fact. And so those are going to be problems that they're going to face as they grow into adulthood or into middle age. And it gets worse because art, science, AI, all these things are going to just continue to advance themselves. AI is advancing exponentially, if I recall correctly. I might have to brush up on that a little bit, but AI, general intelligence AI, is supposed to achieve the equivalent of the capacity of the human brain by 2029. And once it achieves the same capacity of a human brain, it can only start surpassing us. Because right now, AI can't think like a human being. Once it has the capacity to think and operate the same way a human brain does, the future is going to write itself. AI will write its own future unless we kill it. We have to kill it in its infancy. But we probably won't because we won't understand it at the time. And who knows? In the future, maybe will be awesome because AI is so fantastic and it takes care of humanity and stuff. Because it wouldn't kill us because we're nice, right? Be nice to the machines is what I'm saying. Be nice to the machines. And maybe they'll be nice to you someday instead of using you for food. But the AI, general intelligence AI, I think is what they refer to it, is supposed to achieve parity with the human brain in 2029. And once that happens, it's going to start growing and increasing in intelligence and capacity and speed and thought. Continue to do that exponentially into the future. And so who knows what's going to happen? But the generations after us, we're going to be the last generation that knows what reality looks like as compared to, you know, generated art. And I'm just saying, speaking in generalities, I mean, like, yeah, other people are going to know what it looks like, but we grew up in an era where it didn't exist at all. A lot of the people alive today, these things have existed their entire life. And so they've had less exposure to things other than that, to the older way of doing things and the older way things looked. And a lot of people don't understand how I can tell something is real or not almost instantaneously by looking at it. It's because I've seen the real thing and I know what it looks like. And I guess I still am an artist of some sort. You know, I used to paint, draw, sketch, sculpt. I used to do all sorts of art. And I know what it looks like when you shine a light from a certain angle on a thing because I've done it hundreds of times. I've looked at it millions of times in my lifetime by now. I have mimicked it in art thousands of times in my lifetime. So I know what it looks like. So if you take a background that has one form of light source on it, and you superimpose something else and the light source doesn't match, I instantly know. I can tell just by looking at it. And a lot of people, I'm sure, have that same ability. They may not know it because they're not looking at AI generated images or photoshopped images very often. But I'm going to assume that a lot of people from our generation, the Gen Xers and before, would react to these fake photographs and photoshopped images the same way I did because I don't know, we know what the real thing looks like. We weren't looking at things on little screens on our phones all of our lives. So we would have to actually look at them in person in real life. And so I don't know. We're the last ones who are going to have that. Everybody else, they've been staring at little screens on phones for their entire life. And what they'll be staring at by the time they're our age, who knows? It might be like The Expanse, those little screens, that pops up and has everything on there, but or a brain implant, boop, and it's just being projected right on the back of your eyeball or something. I don't know what it'll be, but I think the Gen X is going to be the last generation that knows what real things look like, things that haven't been created or things that aren't being viewed on a screen, because we used to have to look at them in person, live and in person. So when I look at a photograph of a quote unquote drone or quote unquote UAP, most of the time I write it off and go, that looks an awful lot like an airplane. That light pattern is awful lot like the same as the navigation lights on an airplane. I don't know why people think this is a UFO, but most of the things that people see in the sky are just airplanes and helicopters. Occasionally, you might see a drone. My neighbors fly drones all the time, and I can hear them. Sounds like a giant bumblebee flying around in the sky. I know a drone when I see one, and they don't fly like regular aircraft anyway. If it's like a little commercial, drone that might be bigger, than you might have these industrial drones or something that might actually be the size of a small car, like some of these people are saying in New Jersey. A drone can be as big as you want. I mean, we have um, unmanned F-16s and F-15s. There's no pilot in them, so technically that would be a drone, and it's flown by a computer or flown by somebody sitting in a room in Las Vegas with a little joystick and a thruster. I don't know. I wonder if they use the Thrustmaster controllers. I wonder if they get those. They get a special deal on Amazon for those. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool. But I don't know. A lot of people sure can't tell the difference between an airplane, drone, and a UFO, an alien spacecraft. And I don't know what happened, but nothing is different this week as opposed to a month ago when people weren't talking about this. Nothing has changed. So I think someone is helping it happen. And I think someone is pushing all these narratives and all this bullshit, to be quite frank, into our consciousness, into our culture. And so that it's just muddying the waters so that nobody actually knows what's going on anymore. And it's building distrust in your government because when you ask the government, what's going on over here? And the government's like, I don't know. Nothing's happening over there. It's just airplanes. And nobody believes them because they're the government, because you can't believe the government. Tuskegee Airmen and stuff. And Agent Orange, you can't believe the government. So when you ask the government, and guess what? Our enemies know this for a fact. They've used it against us for decades now. They know that the American population is generally skeptical of authority. It's kind of a thing about being an American, Screw authority, we're free, liberty, America, hua hua, right? So our enemies understand that. So if the Russians or the Chinese or the Iranians or the Cubans or whomever wants to help create division within our country or create a wider divide between our government and our populace, they just have to build a situation where you have to ask the government for an answer because the government's not going to have one. And then that's just going to further build the distrust because you're like, how can the government not know what's flying around in the sky in New Jersey? Well, they know what's flying around in the sky in New Jersey. It's just planes and helicopters. But if you're going to ask them if they know anything about, this large number of drones and these stealth aircraft that seem to be flying around the cities and landing on people's roofs, the government's going to go, no, we don't know anything about that. That's not something we're aware of. Maybe you should ask your local authorities. Everybody's going to assume that they're lying because that's what governments do. They lie all the time. And our government isn't any different. So the governments may lie about different things, but they're all going to tell you a lie in some way or another. But they just have to keep push that narrative. Hey, we need an answer from the Pentagon, and the Pentagon will say, "I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. I don't have any drones flying around New Jersey. I don't have an answer for you." So now you distrust the Pentagon. You're building distrust between the citizens and the military, the citizens and the government. The executive branch, your local authorities. Now you're going to wind up having some police chiefs and some sheriffs and some mayors and things like that who are going to be out there with the people going, "I saw it too. I seen that thing flying around over there." And they're going to be wrong as well because they don't understand that that was an airplane that was flying away from you, and that's why it looks like it was hovering in the sky. But your local people will probably be a little more prone to agree with you and to press the government above them, like the state government or the federal government for an answer. And so now you've got your little local like city states that are against each other, right? Like the city of Cleveland is now at odds with the state of Ohio, and the state of Ohio is at odds with the greater United States because the federal government isn't answering the state's questions and the state isn't answering the city's questions. And that's how you just continue to build on an already existing distrust of authority. And I'm sure we do it to other countries as well because it's pretty effective. And this thing that's happening in New Jersey is probably being pushed and helped along by that. Because once one of our adversaries sees an opening, they're just going to promote it. They're going to push it because it helps and it works and it's easy. It's not hard to do and it's pretty cheap. It doesn't really cost that much to have a bunch of people online pushing a narrative about why isn't the government answering our questions about these drones, these drones that everyone is seeing in New Jersey. Well, they can't answer the question because they're not there. The drones aren't there. But because a bunch of stupid people on the ground keep calling them drones and keep thinking they're drones, that's the narrative now. They're drones. And so if the government doesn't answer these questions and tell people, no, it's not real, the people over there are just stupid, then the government can't say that because it's going to offend an entire state. Like there's anything worth a damn in New Jersey anyway. If you've never been there, I mean, parts of it are pretty, but you're not missing much. So, and obviously the education system in New Jersey is pretty broken when people think a 747 is some sort of secret space alien drone. I don't understand it. Maybe I'll never understand it. Go read a book. Go do something other than looking at lights in the sky and assuming that something bad is going on or we're being invaded by aliens. I don't know. How do we fix these people? That's the question. How do you fix them? And I'm not sure there's an easy answer. I don't think there is because once you get into that mindset, I don't know if there's a way to get out of it. I don't know if there is. It's really hard to build trust back once you've lost trust in something like your government, of course, or the media or whatever it is. It's going to be virtually impossible to get that back. But so that's kind of a write-off. You just kind of have to move on. But how do we educate people to have a better understanding of what's happening in their environment and what's happening around them all day long, and that it's not an alien invasion? How do we do that? I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't know if you have an answer, but if you do, give me a ring. We'll do an episode on it. Here's the answer. Here's how we fix everybody. But we're not gonna fix anybody, I don't think. I'm gonna go here just for fun. I want to look at one more thing for those of you following along on YouTube or wherever you're watching this video, we're going to do another search, and I'm going to show you. Well, let's just go back to the Google main page so we can take a look. And I'm just going to type in New Jersey. And look, New Jersey flights, New Jersey airport, drones, drone sightings, drone crash. All of these things start populating on their own because millions of people are searching Google for that stupid drone story in New Jersey that's not really a story. But those people are distracted. And if something else important is going on today, they're not seeing it. They're not paying any attention. So, whatever somebody wants to get away with, they're going to get away with it because everybody's worried about drones that don't exist. I'll catch you guys later. I've had enough. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk more about this another day, but I just can't do it anymore. It's stupid. You got to knock it off. Really, just stop. Just stop.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Really, Just Stop with your host, Ross. Make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss a dose of some common sense.